Hey guys, I'm John Robinson, the Astrodon. Welcome back to the Deep Sky channel. Tonight we're working on the Lobster Nebula. Let's get into it. So hey guys, the Lobster Nebula is low in the south, just right there behind me. It comes up maybe around 1 in the morning and it sets at around 4, right between the two trees that you can see. So I don't have a lot of time to capture it. So it's taken me several weeks, maybe months to capture. I'm almost done with it. So we're gonna finish the capture and mix it up for you tonight in PIX Insight. So let me start out by showing you the subs. So I captured this over multiple sessions, as I mentioned in the intro. Some with an older session with different calibration files, which is why they're in this different folder, 43 of those. And then with the newer session with different calibration files, 150 of those. So all in all, I've got 193 subs, 300 seconds each, 5 minutes, or a total of 16 hours for this exposure. This is a 2-panel mosaic. So I have the lights segmented into a Lobster-1 and a Lobster-2, and I put it together like that. So let me show you here on PIX Insight what I've got going on. So here's my quadrant 1 sulfur, here's the hydrogen, and then here's the oxygen for quadrant 1. Not a lot of oxygen happening in this image. And you can see, I don't know if you can in the video, but even the hydrogen, the strongest channel, is very grainy. It's because this object, as you can see here from Stellarium, was very low on the horizon when I captured it. And even though I'm using these Astrodon filters, still I get a lot of, noise pollution that low in the horizon. Anyway, that's what I got here for quadrant 1. Quadrant 2 looked like, here's the S. Here's the hydrogen, and then here's the oxygen. A lot of light pollution in here. I think I had a little bit of a moon that I was dealing with as well. So I had to deal with that light pollution here. So after I captured those, I did a automatic background extraction on them to try to even up the subs a little bit. And I did that for each of those. So I have the S1s and S2s, H1, H2, so forth. And then I created a reference file. The reference file looked like this. This is just simply merging together the hydrogens. You can kind of see what that looks like. Here's the one hydrogen, here's the other hydrogen. And then by merging those together using the star align tool, using the merge, the mosaic option for working mode, I was able to create this reference file. Now the reference file is simply that. It's simply an alignment of stars. I'm not too concerned about the fact that the left and right don't match each other and you can see the integration line. No big deal. But at least now I have the reference file. I can produce the stars where I want them to be. So now with the reference file, I start with S1 and star align tool again. Type in my reference file, and this time for working mode I'm using register match. I just drag this over here. What that does is put S1 in the correct location within the quadrant like this. So I repeat that process for all of the S1s and all the first quadrant and the second quadrant. So in the end I come up with those files in their different locations. Then I use process, image integration, gradient merge mosaic. And I add the files that I saved for like H1 and H2, grab those two guys. And I know that I'm going to deal with some noise pollution, so I'm going to bump this up to 0.04 and click the play button on that thing. Let it run. So here's what I came up with there. So here's the S. A little bit of banding you can see there, but for the most part it's gone away. Here's the H. Still a little bit of noise pollution on the outer perimeter there. And then here's the oxygen, the O. That has a lot of banding in it. So this was the best I could do given the fact that the two different sides are just different colors, and that's the best that gradient merge could do. So I did end up with a little bit of banding. So when I ran the SHO script in Pixel Math, just S for red, H for green, O for blue, it came up looking like this. And then you do the SCNR on it to get rid of the green, and this is the starting point. So you can see that band in there a little bit. So then I create a mask, and by the way, I called this SHO. And here's that SHO here. From the SHO, I created a couple of masks. I did an extraction for the loom channel, or just the black and white version of it. And you can see I've darkened the background a bit. And the way I did that was created a copy of itself and then put it back as a mask, and then did an invert on the mask. Bring up the histogram trans. And here I can just control the background colors like that. So essentially I just turn down the background like that. Now I've already done it, so I'm not going to repeat the process, but you get the idea. So that's why that the loom channel here has a little bit darker background. Once I had that, I also extracted the stars and pulled the nebula out from it using the StarNet tool. So here's the, let's see, here's the nebula mask, and here's the stars. And then I darkened this guy up, the background, even more, and then I added the stars back to it. So then this became the new loom channel. This is my final loom. You can see the result is that banding there is pretty much gone after doing all that pushing and pulling with the histogram trans. And I did that pushing and pulling on the nebula mask when it had no stars in it. And then I added the stars back into it in Pixel Math to create this new loom channel. So this became my new loom mask that I used to tweak the SHO. Similarly, I created a new nebula mask here by darkening the background. There's Neb 2. And then from the nebula mask, I created a range mask so that I could especially tune out that really bright spot in there. You can see that this part right here is extremely bright. So I used a range mask so that I wasn't working on that region. Dark means I'm not going to work on it. White means it's a region I'm working on. So here's my range mask for that. And then I did a range mask minus the stars. What I did there was I said, okay, range mask, and then did a subtraction in Pixel Math to make some little holes in here in the mask so that I can just be tuning the nebula without affecting the stars. So these were the masks that I primarily used. So the common one was the new loom mask, the range mask minus the stars, and the nebula 2. So these are the masks that I used against this SHO here to produce this image here. After all that pushing and pulling and tweaking, this is what I came up with. And that's my final image of the Lobster Nebula. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments if you have any feedback for me or questions about the process that I used. And yeah, thanks for tuning in. See you next week.